up, everybody? It's your boy Shazwiyt, and welcome back to another video. Thank you for joining me yet again, and thank you so much for your continued support. If you're new to this channel and you're clicking on me for the very first time, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and also turn on that post notification bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a video. I hope everybody is doing well. I've taken a little break, but I'm happy to be back. I think that's going to be the usual schedule. I'll probably film a video, take a day break or so, then come back. But if I'm really feeling like it, I will post like days in a row too. Yeah, so I hope you guys are doing well. With that being said, let's get straight into today's video. Okay, let's do it. So as you can tell by the title of today's video, I'm going to be talking about South Africa, and I'm going to be talking about very controversial, loaded, sad issues that have been trending this past week there. And these are ongoing issues that require immediate action because this is a state of emergency. And South Africa, I stand with you. I am always supporting you. This is sad what is happening. Yeah, anyway, we'll get into it. So for those of you, first of all, do not know what South Africa is, South Africa is a country in Southern Africa, and so it's called South Africa. I'll display it as I talk about it. So I'm going to be talking about xenophobia and gender-based violence within South Africa because there have been issues that fall under these two things that have been taking place as of late. And so these are issues that are found all around the world. Hence why I'm also making this video, not only to educate you about things that happen in places, other than your own area, but also just to let you know that as human beings, that are inhabitants of this planet, we experience very similar things, which is why I think it's important to support each other because you can relate to that situation, especially not only if you yourself haven't been raped or haven't experienced xenophobia, it's very possible you know someone who has. So the first thing that I'm going to be talking about is gender-based violence within South Africa. So gender-based violence is violence against a person simply because of their gender, whether they're a man or a woman. And gender-based violence comes in the form of a story of a young woman named, I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Uinene Moyana. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce it correctly. She is the person on the thumbnail, but I'll display a picture too. So she was a young 19-year-old woman, a young girl, who was a first-year university student at the University of Cape Town in South Africa. Cape Town is a beautiful city. I travel to South Africa quite frequently, been to quite a few places. It's a beautiful country, great place. Probably the nicest sort of looking country in Africa, I would say. It's definitely the most developed. Nigeria technically has the largest economy, but South Africa is just very developed and is very out there. And the fact that it's the only country that's hosted the FIFA World Cup speaks volumes. But anyway, so this young girl named Uinene, or more commonly known as Nini, first university student, 19 years old, seemed like a very bright and beautiful person. I think some people who I follow on Instagram probably knew her or went to school with her, certain friends of mine. I'm not too sure. I never knew her personally, but according to the court statements, according to the prosecutor named Nomnikelo Konisi, she went missing on August 24th. I read an article that said August 30th, but that wouldn't make sense because it's too short of a time. So I think August 24th is when she actually went missing. So the prosecutor said that the student went to the post office. She went to the Clare Inch post office in Cape Town. So she went there probably around 2 p.m. in the afternoon to inquire about a parcel that she was supposed to get. So she goes there, but due to load shedding and electricity issues within that area, she was told that the systems are down, so she can't get her parcel. So she's like, okay. So she leaves. She then eventually comes back later. And so when she comes back, there's only one person in the post office. There is one post office worker. So I'm not sure if it was already after hours or it was probably like getting to almost closing time. But I'm guessing that this girl obviously knew the times at the post office, when to come, when not to come. So I'm pretty sure that it was open at the time. So there was one man who was in there, an employee, 42-year-old man. And so she goes there and she goes inside the post office. It's just the two of them. So this guy then locks the door, behind her, and then basically proceeds to try to assault her. He tries to rape her. So obviously she fights back. She's like, "Hell no, you are not doing that." She is fighting him back, and then she starts screaming. She starts screaming at the top of her lungs, trying to get people to, come get her. Unfortunately, because this guy locked her door, she wasn't able to escape. Because during the time that she would have tried to jam the door open, this guy would have already got into her. And so this guy, when he saw that Nini was screaming, he decides to take a scale, a huge ass scale, like a proper metallic one they used to measure stuff, and he basically hits her repeatedly, hard enough for her to be knocked out and to eventually die from bleeding. So he then takes her body, puts it in his car. Excuse me, sorry. Takes her body, puts it in his car, and then drives her over to a place called Khayelitsha in Lingeletu West, another place within Cape Town, and basically dumps her body there. I'm not too sure where exactly her body was dumped, whether it was a dump site, whether it was in a river, but that's where her body was taken. So after some investigation, blood was found inside the post office. It was found on one of this man's shoes, and it was also found in his car. So as of now, the case has been postponed to November 5th because the court is awaiting DNA results of the blood that was found in the post office and in the car and whatnot. And so I thought to myself that if this man had already admitted to the crime, why would it be necessary to await the DNA results? And that's when I figured to myself, it's because it's possible that since he was so quick to admit to the fault and everything, it's possible he could be covering up for the actual suspect. So it's just important to have a confirmation of that. And also the court says the reason why the case was postponed so far was because an identity parade and some statements needed to be taken to the court as well. So statements from some potential witnesses who were there when this happened, and for those of you who don't know, an identity parade is a process by which a crime victim or a witness's putative identification of a suspect is confirmed to a level that can count as evidence at trial. So I know that's a lot of words. Let me explain. So an identity parade, it's something you see a lot in movies. I'm pretty sure you've all seen this at some point. It's basically when if you suspect certain people of doing a crime, especially like when how some people draw out the victims, like when you describe a person, you will line those people up and you basically look at each person and decide who did the crime according to whatever criteria. You also see this a lot in movies when like people go to jail and they line them up and they hold those things. They take a photo, they look to the side, that sort of thing. That's the identity parade. It's a weird word to use, the word parade, but that's just what they call it. So that case has been postponed, but that's not stopping people from that hasn't stopped the issue from sparking outrage and sparking cries from not only people within South Africa, but people across the world. I saw today earlier on Instagram, I might put it up, I'm not sure, but from actress Yara Shahidi, who is popular, mostly known for her appearance on the show Grownish and Blackish. She posted something on Instagram where she put up Nini's picture and she was talking about how, it's so sad that we have to protect ourselves as women and how there isn't an emphasis on men and all this. And she was talking about how, it's sad that these issues are going on in different parts of the world. So yeah, it was nice to see that, this topic was this story was getting, that international attention because we really do have to bring awareness, not just for the benefit of South Africa, who I stand in solidarity with, but also just to protect people all across the world, because rape and all these sex crimes happen everywhere on a daily basis. There's so many people, whether you're a man, woman, or a child. So it's important to talk about that. So this has started a movement known as the MI Next movement, which was sparked by different women who said that if it happened to her, it can how long would it be before it happens to me? And so the protest that actually took place recently in Cape Town. Right now, Cape Town is hosting the World Economic Forum, and so there were protests that were done outside there by a lot of people. There were also protests that were done outside Parliament in Cape Town. They have a Parliament building there. And one of the girls who is also a 19-year-old student, she's a first year accounting student who is called, I believe her name is, it said Azande Mkize, first year financial student. She said, as a 19-year-old student, I am Nini, and I am angry, I'm tired. She went on to say, we're tired as women. We're tired of being told to walk in groups. We're tired of being told to carry pepper spray. We're tired of being told how to survive. And that's just very sad, and I agree with her because, as I said before, it's important that, we're not only we should stop this whole thing of like, women, you have to do this to protect yourselves and to avoid these situations as if they wanted to get into this situation at all. How can you avoid going to the post office or going to church or whatever? Rape can happen anywhere. It doesn't matter where you are, who you are. It can happen anywhere to anyone at any time. So the emphasis should be placed on men, and the man should be told whether you did it or not, but an atmosphere should be created to protect women and let men know the severity of their crimes. It's people like this 42-year-old man who really piss me off and make me want to like get the death penalty, like for some people, because it's like, nah fam, you raped and murdered this girl. A girl full of life, had her life ahead of herself, just started college. How sick can you be? But yeah, it's crazy, guys. It's crazy. So, I then also asked a friend of mine, like, how did the post office not know that this dude, so apparently this dude had a prior conviction. He was convicted for armed robbery, or robbery with aggravating circumstances, as well as a rape case that was held against him, which was eventually withdrawn. So I was thinking to myself, this dude is working at this post office. Like, how do the employers not know that? Like, why do they keep him there? Why isn't he in jail right now? And then a friend of mine told me that it's because, places like post offices are like public defender jobs, which are basically jobs where they're very open to accepting people from anywhere from the public. And it's also a thing of, if you don't give felons jobs, they'll just resort to crime anyway, and these things will continue. So you have to give them jobs. And, I thought about it, I was like, yeah, that's true. It makes sense. But still, it's like, ugh. Maybe this guy is also good at doing post office related things. Maybe he's, skilled. I don't know. But that's no excuse for him to do what he did. Not that there was any excuse to be given. Sick mother. Anyway. So signs, so at the protest, the signs that people were holding, like the slogans they had, the placards, were reading, "Share our burden, stop killing us." And that's when I came across this term, which is called femicide, which, United Nations defines as basically violence against women. And so apparently there were other stories related to gender-based violence that also happened, which also sparked the outrage in addition to Nini's story. Apparently there was the kidnapping and the eventual safe return of a 6-year-old girl named Amy Lee Dejaga, There was also the murder of a South African female boxing champion, Leandre Jagels, or Jagels, not sure. Um, there was, yeah, so those two people, and among a lot of other, women obviously who experience, or girls who experience these issues. So it's really sad. Um, and so to give you guys some statistics on gender-based violence in South Africa, just to give you a scale of the issue, how big it is, from the year sometime in 2015 to 2016, within the space of a year, 51,895 sex crimes were reported to the South African Police Service. And of those 51,865 crimes, 50,000 of them were against women and girls. So that means basically about 90 something percent of all these crimes are against women. Hence why we talk about gender based violence, and women and all of this. Yes, some stuff happens against men, whether a gay man, whatever, and boys. I can relate to that, but that's a story for another day. But we all know that this is an issue with women. When it comes to a case of sexual assault and rape, um, another problem is that men are also biologically stronger than women. So it's easier to overpower them. Hence, when so many of these cases, the men are able to get away with it because of that strength issue. And you can't get offended by that. It's simple biology. It is true. In most situations, the man will tend to be able to overpower the woman or the girl. So it's just a really sad case, and we need to find ways to address that. And also within the space of a year, there were 3,000 deaths reported, which were against women. So that's really really bad. And actually, I signed a petition recently, which I'll link down in the description below, whereby in a West African country, I'm forgetting which one, it must have been either Ghana or Senegal, one of those, it said they reported 200 deaths or sex-related crimes, something like that, and that was already declared a state of emergency. Yet there's 3,000 that happened in South Africa, and it's not even a state of emergency. So the petition was for the government to know that this is a serious problem that truly needs to be addressed. We need to protect women. There's serious issues happening. South Africa is also ranked either the highest, or it's been ranked amongst the highest in the world when it comes to sex-related crimes since 1998. And actually from 1998 to 2000, it was the highest in the world. Highest rates of rape and sexual assault cases and deaths against women and gender-based violence in general. So it clearly shows that, they are just, there's a serious issue. So there have been vigils that have been done at the school, singing. I saw an Insta story of the memorial service for her. It wasn't the actual funeral, but it was where people gathered with candles and sang and remembered her. I've seen videos where members of her family were interviewed. Her uncle was interviewed. Actually, that's the video I saw. And her uncle talked about how her mother, who stays in East London, is obviously very distraught. But she is a Christian woman, and she believes that, it's the will of God. At the end of the day, she's in a better place. It's just a very, very sad situation. And it just shows that with rape and gender-based violence, there's a root problem going on. We need to find a way to protect women and to make sure that they are valued in society, to make sure that they are not just sexual objects. That not that sorry, excuse the word just, not that they are, sorry. But we need to find a way to to make sure that they are not seen as just a sexual object, being objectified and seeing I've been seeing lots of people sharing a photo that says women don't owe you shit. And it's true. You know what I mean? Because women themselves know that obviously they don't want to be abused. They want to be respected and all that. But it takes us men, most importantly us men, to protect our women and to help them and protect them. And if you see a fellow man, if you see another guy and you know he has a potential doing what, or he speaks about women in a derogatory way, or does whatever actions that show traits of someone who will, have committed a sex crime against, a woman or whatnot, we need to correct them and put them in their place and correct them right there and then. Because it takes us men to really keep each other accountable. We need some accountability, not only the women keeping the men accountable, we need us men to keep each other accountable. Because if we don't, then it's like we're saying this issue is not a big deal and it will just continue happening. Men need to know, especially heterosexual men, need to know that women are valued, protected individuals, and that if you ever even like sexualize or look at a woman in a certain way, we'll catch you. We need to do a serious thing. But I like how I say we as if, like how. But we can all play a part in this. We can sign petitions or, give more attention to this. That's why I'm doing this YouTube video, because I want to give more issue, spread it, put a light on this situation. But yeah, that's that story of gender-based violence. Then the next thing that I wanted to talk about that's also been trending, that is a huge thing, is xenophobia. So xenophobia is defined as fear or hatred of that which is perceived to be foreign or strange. So it's not just about, oh, this person within a group doesn't like this person or whatever. No, just anything that you think is like different towards you. Basically, like just having a fear of it or hating it because it's like foreign to you. Basically is what xenophobia is. So South Africa has had an issue with xenophobia for a while. And what happened recently is that there's been a lot of outrage that has been taking place within South Africa regarding xenophobia as of late. It's happened in the past, but there's something that happened recently. So violence and looting has been taking place in Nigeria and in Zambia. Against South African-owned businesses after a continuing series of xenophobic attacks and riots that took place in Johannesburg, which is a city in South Africa. So Nigeria even recalled its ambassador to South Africa and had him pulled out of the World Economic Forum, brought back to Nigeria because of all the crimes that are taking place against Nigerians, Zambians, Zimbabweans, etc. So 5 foreign Africans were actually killed, and 189 suspects have been arrested. The riots against foreign businesses that happened in all of these xenophobic attacks began a day after South African truck drivers started a nationwide strike, where they were protesting against the employment of foreign drivers. Roads were blocked and trucks being driven by foreigners were torched by protesters. So that's basically what sparked the outrage. Basically, South African truck drivers are upset that a lot of trucks are being driven by foreigners, so they were doing a strike because they didn't want them, to work in the country. And that's what started that. So they started just being violent and killing people who were foreign, other Africans, which is sad because, they didn't even really target, other groups like, Indians and Asians and all that. I'm not saying that they should have or that it would have been better if they did that. But it's just sad because it just shows how we as Black people, we really are our own worst enemy. And there's so much... But there's just issues with our community in general. This just needs to be addressed properly. So the unemployment rate in South Africa is 29%, which means that there are 7 million people out of the 50-something million population of people who do not work. So according to Xenowatch, 12 people died from xenophobic-related attacks last year alone in 2018. And what also sparked, what really brought this issue and made it even bigger was a heated exchange that took place on Twitter between different artists. So there's this Nigerian artist named Burna Boy. He's a singer, rapper from Nigeria, and he's very popular, he's doing very well. And so he had a heated exchange with another rapper who's from South Africa called AKA. I'll display the pictures. So they had a heated exchange on Twitter, which was sparked by Burna Boy's criticism of a Nigerian rapper or singer, a Nigerian artist called Young Denzel. And this Nigerian artist has frequently collaborated with AKA in the past. So basically, this is what happened. So Burna Boy, obviously, like many other Nigerians, is upset about what's happening in South Africa. He has said that he's never coming back to South Africa again until this issue is fixed. And also people like Tiwa Savage, who is another Nigerian artist, she said, I'm not coming back. You know, this is horrible what is happening. I'm so distraught. In fact, I think I have an excerpt from what she said. She said, I refuse to watch the barbaric butchering of my people in SA. This is sick. For this reason, I will not be performing at the upcoming DSTV Delicious Festival in Johannesburg. My prayers are with all the victims and families affected by this. So this just, people in Nigeria and Zambia are outraged. And they're reacting in the same way that South Africans are doing to their people, which is they're putting violence and they're looting against foreign, in particular South African businesses within those countries. So in that situation, Nigerians and Zambians are no better than South Africans. Because when you react the exact same way as your oppressor, you're the same as them. So it's like, really, is it really necessary to act in that way? Anyway, it's up to them. So, so Burna Boy said to Young Denzel, who is the rapper who's collaborated with AKA, he said, and Young Denzel, it's fuck AKA from now on. And if you're done with him, it's fuck you too. I respect you too much, please. Don't throw my respect out of the window because I swear you will fly out with it. Damn. So AKA who initially tried to be diplomatic and tried to be nice about things and was like, I get your frustration, Burna Boy, about what's happening in South. He then ended up receiving multiple death threats, including ones on his daughter Cairo, who he has with this DJ called DJ Zintle. And that's when AK went off and was pissed off. Like, how could people, send me death threats? And this sparked a new hashtag called Hands Off AKA, where many different people, especially a lot of South Africans and just other people from other countries, were defending AKA and supporting him, saying that, this reaction is too much. And so one random person said on Twitter, Nigerian artists ganging up on AKA, and what are SA artists doing? One of the reasons you find us playing Nigerian music in South Africa is because South African superstars like AKA made us pay attention by featuring you guys in their songs in the first place. And it's very true, because the only reason why Nigerian artists can make an impact in South Africa and other countries is because people play their music, and popular artists within those countries frequently collaborate with them. Even in Zimbabwe, the number one artist right now who has really been popular for some time is this guy called Ja Praise, this young man, really great music. This dude has collaborated with other African artists, and including other Nigerian artists. Like, he's collaborated with Yemi Alade, who is like the top female artist in Nigeria right now, along with Tiwa Savage, like doing really well. And so obviously, because Ja Praise as a Zimbabwean artist that have collaborated with Nigerian artists, that would have given her a new audience of people who've probably never been exposed to Niger music or Afro beats. And it's just sad, like, when you see how people are reacting to each other in all of these situations. It's just really stupid, because it just sparks more outrage, and it doesn't fix the issue at all. Even the president of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, he even said himself that there is a better way to deal with the situation, a more democratic way. He was saying he condemns gender-based violence. He condemns the person that killed Nini. He condemns all of these xenophobic attacks. And there was something that Trevor Noah actually said. If I can't find it here, I'll display it on the screen for you guys to read. But he addressed this whole xenophobic situation, and he said he spit some facts out there. He said some really great things. Let's see. If it processes. Okay. Yeah. So, sorry guys, I'm just looking for this. But basically, he responded to that, and he was basically talking about how foreigners within South Africa, especially African foreigners, don't even own like they probably own only 0.001% of the wealth in South Africa, because South Africans have this mentality that the Africans are taking away all the jobs and they have the true wealth in South Africa, while black South Africans are the ones suffering, when that is not the case at all. The people you should be blaming for this is what he said. So he said, your anger and outrage, and he was talking to black South Africans, your anger and outrage is misplaced. African immigrants don't own lands. Excuse me, they don't run companies, they don't own mining companies, they don't operate trophy hunting companies, they do not ship out capital to European banks. So Noah said this on the Daily Show with Trevor Noah, and yeah, he was quick to add that the 1.6 million Africans, who mostly run small shops, vending and service industries, or hold small to mid management level jobs, that these may lay claim to literally less than 0.0000001% of wealth in South Africa. So literally, black South Africans are targeting the wrong people. On the other hand, Noah argued white people in South Africa, whether you are a white South African or not, make up only 8.7% of the population, yet control over 85% of the wealth. Although there are increases in black CEOs and managers, these are mere servants and are just there as optical presentations. You know, and he noted how 6,000 European families own over 85% of agricultural lands in South Africa, which is also a big issue right now, is land reform. How white people own the majority of lands and black people want their farms back. Typical situation that's pretty much taken place in every African country. Took place in Zimbabwe. That's one of the main reasons why we have economic issues right now, because of this issue of land reform. So you can see there's a whole lot of ignorance and misunderstanding that is going on, from these black South Africans, all of these people who are taking out their anger, you know. It's just you're 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 approaching the situation wrongly, and and I'm not trying to say that they should be targeting white people as well and being violent against them and killing them. No. But at least first be educated about what's actually happening in your country. Be educated on that, and don't be freaking ignorant because you're killing people and threatening them and torturing them. I know this because I know someone personally, like a person who I says a brother is an employee of ours. He has a cousin of his, a Zimbabwean, who stayed in South Africa, was burnt because he was a foreigner. I have a close cousin of mine who stayed, and I have a few relatives who stayed in South Africa. This cousin of mine had to learn the language there, had to learn Xhosa, which is one of the more popular languages in South Africa. Hence why if you don't learn the lingo or how to stay there, and the South Africans who have discovered, oh, he's not even from South Africa, he's from Zimbabwe, he's from another country, he would have been a target. This shit happens. You have to be careful. I ask so many other Zimbabweans, like, would you ever stay in South? Some of them, they say, no, I would visit for holiday, but I wouldn't stay there because of because of what? The violence. So it's just, there's so many problems, in that country. It's just, yeah, it's a horrible situation. Anyway, before I go on to, stutter a lot and just, say blank things from my head, that's basically the situation that's going on, and this is an issue that needs a serious response. Law enforcement need to do more. I know that they're doing what they can, but there just is more that needs to be done. There's more education that needs to be done. Men and boys, especially from a young age, need to be educated to learn to respect women, to learn about consent. Consent! Consent! Okay? Consent. Freaking douchebags. About having consent and respecting women. But at the same time, of course, it would be good to help women learn ways to, self-defense and what to do in those kind of situations. But it's not their fault. It's the men's fault for putting these women in such compromising, horrible situations that end up in either rape or murder or both. But yeah, I hope Nigeria and Zambia, keep their ties with South Africa. As Zimbabweans, as a Zimbabwean, we stand in solidarity with you. The whole of Africa stands in solidarity with you, South Africa. We hope you get through and come up with, proper solutions to this problem, not only short term, but also long term solutions. I'm very sorry about what's happening. And, also Nigerians and Zambians, in other countries, please don't target South Africans. And South Africans, please don't target foreigners. We need to live peacefully. South Africa is known as the Rainbow Nation, a country that was, founded upon the basis of, unity and diversity and all of this stuff. Please keep Nelson Mandela's dream alive and the dream of South Africans who fought for the independence of the country. You know what I mean? This is not what the spirit of South Africa is. And this shouldn't be the spirit of any country. We should have open arms and, be good. At least don't be violent. Okay? Just be a decent human being. Could you do that? Anyway, with that being said, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love you guys. Please stay tuned for the next video. Yeah, I'm really enjoying this. I'm really enjoying this whole YouTube thing. We're approaching week 2 now. I'm not going to keep track of literally each week or everything, but I'm just really happy to be on this YouTube thing and getting to share a platform with you guys and giving you my thoughts. Okay, stay blessed, stay good. I hope you're all doing well, and I'll see you next time. Shazwiyt out.